Question 1. Students reviewing ecosystems see a heterozygote showing an intermediate phenotype. Which answer is best? Option A, transcription. Option B, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Option C, independent assortment. Option D, incomplete dominance. The correct answer is option D, incomplete dominance. This choice is best because it produces a blended-looking trait in the heterozygote. The other choices point to copies genetic information into RNA, models a non-evolving population under specific conditions, and creates different chromosome combinations in gametes, so they do not match the clue. Question 2. Suppose a CLEP-style biology item describes uncontrolled cell division. Which choice fits ecosystems? Option A, nucleus. Option B, cancer. Option C, cell wall. Option D, hypertonic solution. The correct answer is option B, cancer. This choice is best because it results from failures in normal cell cycle regulation. The other choices point to houses chromosomes and helps regulate cellular activity, provides structural support and protection in plants, fungi, and many bacteria, and has a higher solute concentration than the cell, causing water loss, so they do not match the clue. Question 3. Could a test writer use modifying, sorting, and packaging cell products to ask about which concept in ecosystems? Option A, stem cell. Option B, DNA replication. Option C, Golgi apparatus. Option D, mitosis. The correct answer is option C, Golgi apparatus. This choice is best because it packages molecules for transport inside or outside the cell. The other choices point to can develop into specialized cell types, duplicates genetic material so daughter cells can receive it, and maintains chromosome number in somatic cells, so they do not match the clue. Question 4. Is the best match for rigid support outside the plasma membrane found in which choice for ecosystems? Option A, endocytosis. Option B, domain. Option C, lysosome. Option D, cell wall. The correct answer is option D, cell wall. This choice is best because it provides structural support and protection in plants, fungi, and many bacteria. The other choices point to uses membrane pockets to take material into the cell, places organisms into the largest classification groups, and contains enzymes that break down cellular materials, so they do not match the clue. Question 5. A short passage on ecosystems describes allele pairs separating during gamete formation. Which answer fits? Option A, recombinant DNA. Option B, gel electrophoresis. Option C, law of segregation. Option D, law of independent assortment. The correct answer is option C, law of segregation. This choice is best because it explains why each gamete receives only one allele for a gene. The other choices point to allows genes from one organism to be inserted into another, uses an electric field to move DNA through a gel, and explains independent inheritance of many traits, so they do not match the clue. Question 6. If a passage mentions all interacting populations in an area, which answer should be selected in ecosystems? Option A, competition. Option B, community. Option C, fitness. Option D, trophic level. The correct answer is option B, community. This choice is best because it includes multiple species living together. The other choices point to can reduce survival or reproduction when resources are scarce, measures how well a genotype contributes offspring to the next generation, and places organisms by how they obtain energy, so they do not match the clue. Question 7. Researchers studying ecology notice conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into usable forms. Which term explains it in ecosystems? Option A, nitrogen fixation. Option B, K-selected species. Option C, carbon cycle. Option D, biome. The correct answer is option A, nitrogen fixation. This choice is best because it makes nitrogen available to living organisms. The other choices point to often do well near carrying capacity, connects photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, and combustion, and groups ecosystems with similar climate and life forms, so they do not match the clue. Question 8. An experiment points to the factor intentionally changed in an experiment. Which answer is most relevant in ecosystems? Option A, control group. Option B, independent variable. Option C, data table. Option D, line graph. The correct answer is option B, independent variable. This choice is best because it is manipulated to test its effect. The other choices point to help show whether the treatment caused the effect, helps compare variables and identify patterns, and displays trends in a continuous variable, so they do not match the clue. Question 9. Under a review heading for ecosystems, which term fits organisms using the same limited resource? Option A, competition. Option B, imprinting. Option C, carrying capacity. Option D, ecological niche. The correct answer is option A, competition. This choice is best because it can reduce survival or reproduction when resources are scarce. The other choices point to can shape animal behavior early in life, limits population growth when resources are finite, and includes how an organism lives and interacts, so they do not match the clue. Question 10. Would one species benefiting while the other is largely unaffected most strongly support which answer in ecosystems? Option A, community. Option B, commensalism. Option C, secondary succession. Option D, logistic growth. The correct answer is option B, commensalism. This choice is best because it is a symbiosis with no clear effect on one partner. The other choices point to includes multiple species living together, happens after events like fires or abandoned farming, and produces an S-shaped curve when resources become limiting, so they do not match the clue. Question 11. For a question on ecosystems, how should a student identify a trait controlled by a gene on a sex chromosome? Option A, incomplete dominance. Option B, law of segregation. Option C, sex-linked inheritance. Option D, pedigree. The correct answer is option C, sex-linked inheritance. This choice is best because it often shows distinctive patterns because males have one X chromosome. The other choices point to produces a blended-looking trait in the heterozygote, explains why each gamete receives only one allele for a gene, and shows how traits pass through generations, so they do not match the clue. Question 12. For a clue about a control point that prevents damaged cells from dividing, which term is most precise in ecosystems? Option A, exocytosis. Option B, cell cycle checkpoint. Option C, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Option D, osmosis. The correct answer is option B, cell cycle checkpoint. This choice is best because it helps maintain genome stability before cell division continues. The other choices point to moves vesicles to the membrane so their contents leave the cell, is studded with ribosomes and helps process newly made proteins, and is the diffusion of water across a membrane, so they do not match the clue. Question 13. Compared with the other choices, which option identifies organisms producing fewer offspring with more parental investment in ecosystems? Option A, decomposer. Option B, K-selected species. Option C, producer. Option D, density-independent factor. The correct answer is option B, K-selected species. This choice is best because it often do well near carrying capacity. The other choices point to recycles nutrients back into ecosystems, forms the energy base of many ecosystems, and includes storms, fires, and many abiotic disturbances, so they do not match the clue. Question 14. A ecosystem's passage asks about a graph used to compare categories. Which response is accurate? Option A, hypothesis. Option B, scientific method. Option C, data table. Option D, bar graph. The correct answer is option D, bar graph. This choice is best because it shows differences among discrete groups. The other choices point to makes a prediction that can be supported or rejected by evidence, uses observations, hypotheses, experiments, and conclusions, and helps compare variables and identify patterns, so they do not match the clue. Question 15. One question gives the clue a species role and resource use in an ecosystem. Which answer completes a ecosystem's item? Option A, ecological niche. Option B, producer. Option C, commensalism. Option D, primary succession. The correct answer is option A, ecological niche. This choice is best because it includes how an organism lives and interacts. The other choices point to forms the energy base of many ecosystems, is a symbiosis with no clear effect on one partner, and begins where soil is absent, such as bare rock, so they do not match the clue. Question 16. Can you spot the biology term for two variables changing together in ecosystems? Option A, microscope magnification. Option B, correlation. Option C, dependent variable. Option D, controlled variable. The correct answer is option B, correlation. This choice is best because it does not by itself prove that one variable causes the other. The other choices point to gives total magnification for viewing a specimen, is observed to see whether it changes, and reduces alternative explanations for the results, so they do not match the clue. Question 17. In a practice set on ecosystems, which option best matches the clue a cell gaining water and swelling? Option A, hypertonic solution. Option B, cell wall. Option C, hypotonic solution. Option D, phospholipid bilayer. The correct answer is option C, hypotonic solution. This choice is best because it has a lower solute concentration than the cell, causing water entry. The other choices point to has a higher solute concentration than the cell, causing water loss, provides structural support and protection in plants, fungi, and many bacteria, and forms the flexible barrier that separates cell interiors from surroundings, so they do not match the clue. Question 18. In a lab-style item about ecosystems, which choice best explains protecting biodiversity and ecosystems? Option A, conservation biology. Option B, consumer. Option C, trophic level. Option D, K-selected species. The correct answer is option A, conservation biology. This choice is best because it uses biology to preserve species and habitats. The other choices point to depends on producers or other consumers for energy, places organisms by how they obtain energy, and often do well near carrying capacity, so they do not match the clue. Question 19. After observing a cell losing water and shrinking, which concept is most likely in ecosystems? Option A, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Option B, phospholipid bilayer. Option C, hypertonic solution. Option D, binary fission. The correct answer is option C, hypertonic solution. This choice is best because it has a higher solute concentration than the cell, causing water loss. The other choices point to is studded with ribosomes and helps process newly made proteins, forms the flexible barrier that separates cell interiors from surroundings, and is the common asexual reproduction method in bacteria, so they do not match the clue. Question 20. Before answering an item about organized rows and columns of observations, which concept should be recognized in ecosystems? Option A, data table. Option B, independent variable. Option C, hypothesis. Option D, bar graph. The correct answer is option A, data table. This choice is best because it helps compare variables and identify patterns. The other choices point to is manipulated to test its effect, makes a prediction that can be supported or rejected by evidence, and shows differences among discrete groups, so they do not match the clue. Question 21. The phrase using genetic information to produce a functional product most clearly refers to which biology concept in ecosystems? Option A, gene expression. Option B, anticodon. Option C, codominance. Option D, incomplete dominance. The correct answer is option A, gene expression. This choice is best because it connects DNA instructions to RNA or protein output. The other choices point to helps place the correct amino acid during translation, allows both traits to appear in the heterozygote, and produces a blended-looking trait in the heterozygote, so they do not match the clue. Question 22. Where does the clue copying DNA before cell division lead in ecosystems? Option A, cell differentiation. Option B, cell cycle checkpoint. Option C, DNA replication. Option D, transgenic organism. The correct answer is option C, DNA replication. This choice is best because it duplicates genetic material so daughter cells can receive it. The other choices point to allows multicellular organisms to form different tissues, helps maintain genome stability before cell division continues, and contains introduced DNA that can change its traits, so they do not match the clue. Question 23. Why would cell shape, internal movement, and chromosome separation be tested in an ecosystems question? Option A, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Option B, plasma membrane. Option C, eukaryotic cell. Option D, cytoskeleton. The correct answer is option D, cytoskeleton. This choice is best because it uses protein fibers for support, movement, and organization. The other choices point to synthesizes lipids and helps detoxify chemicals, acts as a selectively permeable boundary, and contains a nucleus and complex internal compartments, so they do not match the clue. Question 24. During review of ecosystems, which term names testing explanations with evidence? Option A, control group. Option B, line graph. Option C, scientific method. Option D, data table. The correct answer is option C, scientific method. This choice is best because it uses observations, hypotheses, experiments, and conclusions. The other choices point to help show whether the treatment caused the effect, displays trends in a continuous variable, and helps compare variables and identify patterns, so they do not match the clue. Question 25. Based on the description the allele combination an organism carries, which choice makes sense for ecosystems? Option A, genotype. Option B, incomplete dominance. Option C, DNA replication. Option D, phenotype. The correct answer is option A, genotype. This choice is best because it describes genetic makeup for a trait. The other choices point to produces a blended-looking trait in the heterozygote, duplicates genetic material so daughter cells can receive it, and describes what can be seen or measured, so they do not match the clue. Question 26. Students reviewing ecosystems see an insertion or deletion that shifts the reading frame. Which answer is best? Option A, nucleic acid. Option B, DNA replication. Option C, transgenic organism. Option D, frame shift mutation. The correct answer is option D, frame shift mutation. This choice is best because it can change many downstream amino acids. The other choices point to includes DNA and RNA, which carry genetic information, duplicates genetic material so daughter cells can receive it, and contains introduced DNA that can change its traits, so they do not match the clue. Question 27. Suppose a CLEP-style biology item describes a limiting factor that becomes stronger as population density rises. Which choice fits ecosystems? Option A, conservation biology. Option B, density-dependent factor. Option C, community. Option D, population. The correct answer is option B, density-dependent factor. This choice is best because it includes competition, disease, and predation. The other choices point to uses biology to preserve species and habitats, includes multiple species living together, and is the basic unit often studied in population biology, so they do not match the clue. Question 28. Could a test writer use separating DNA fragments by size to ask about which concept in ecosystems? Option A, recombinant DNA. Option B, pedigree. Option C, anticodon. Option D, gel electrophoresis. The correct answer is option D, gel electrophoresis. This choice is best because it uses an electric field to move DNA through a gel. The other choices point to allows genes from one organism to be inserted into another, shows how traits pass through generations, and helps place the correct amino acid during translation, so they do not match the clue. Question 29. Is the best match for programmed cell death found in which choice for ecosystems? Option A, Golgi apparatus. Option B, DNA replication. Option C, mitosis. Option D, apoptosis. The correct answer is option D, apoptosis. This choice is best because it removes damaged or unneeded cells in an orderly way. The other choices point to packages molecules for transport inside or outside the cell, duplicates genetic material so daughter cells can receive it, and maintains chromosome number in somatic cells, so they do not match the clue. Question 30. A short passage on ecosystems describes an organism carrying a gene from another species. Which answer fits? Option A, genotype. Option B, incomplete dominance. Option C, transgenic organism. Option D, anticodon. The correct answer is option C, transgenic organism. This choice is best because it contains introduced DNA that can change its traits. The other choices point to describes genetic makeup for a trait, produces a blended-looking trait in the heterozygote, and helps place the correct amino acid during translation, so they do not match the clue. Question 31. If a passage mentions exchange of DNA between homologous chromosomes, which answer should be selected in ecosystems? Option A, transgenic organism. Option B, sex-linked inheritance. Option C, crossing over. Option D, homologous structure. The correct answer is option C, crossing over. This choice is best because it increases genetic variation during meiosis. The other choices point to contains introduced DNA that can change its traits, often shows distinctive patterns because males have one X chromosome, and supports evolutionary relationships among species, so they do not match the clue. Question 32. Researchers studying methods notice the measured response in an experiment. Which term explains it in ecosystems? Option A, independent variable. Option B, dependent variable. Option C, control group. Option D, bar graph. The correct answer is option B, dependent variable. This choice is best because it is observed to see whether it changes. The other choices point to is manipulated to test its effect, helps show whether the treatment caused the effect, and shows differences among discrete groups, so they do not match the clue. Question 33. An experiment points to a 3-base mRNA sequence that specifies an amino acid. Which answer is most relevant in ecosystems? Option A, sex-linked inheritance. Option B, pedigree. Option C, codon. Option D, phenotype. The correct answer is option C, codon. This choice is best because it links the genetic code to protein sequence. The other choices point to often shows distinctive patterns because males have one X chromosome, shows how traits pass through generations, and describes what can be seen or measured, so they do not match the clue. Question 34. Under a review heading for ecosystems, which term fits the maximum population size an environment can sustain? Option A, density-dependent factor. Option B, conservation biology. Option C, mutualism. Option D, carrying capacity. The correct answer is option D, carrying capacity. This choice is best because it limits population growth when resources are finite. The other choices point to includes competition, disease, and predation, uses biology to preserve species and habitats, and is a symbiosis that helps both partners, so they do not match the clue. Question 35. Would making RNA from a DNA template most strongly support which answer in ecosystems? Option A, transcription. Option B, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Option C, codon. Option D, crossing over. The correct answer is option A, transcription. This choice is best because it copies genetic information into RNA. The other choices point to is studded with ribosomes and helps process newly made proteins, links the genetic code to protein sequence, and increases genetic variation during meiosis, so they do not match the clue. Question 36. For a question on ecosystems, how should a student identify a bacterial gene control unit with related genes? Option A, independent assortment. Option B, operon. Option C, crossing over. Option D, virus. The correct answer is option B, operon. This choice is best because it lets prokaryotes regulate groups of genes together. The other choices point to creates different chromosome combinations in gametes, increases genetic variation during meiosis, and cannot reproduce independently outside a host, so they do not match the clue. Question 37. For a clue about both species benefiting from an interaction, which term is most precise in ecosystems? Option A, mutualism. Option B, exponential growth. Option C, biodiversity. Option D, invasive species. The correct answer is option A, mutualism. This choice is best because it is a symbiosis that helps both partners. The other choices point to produces a J-shaped curve under ideal conditions, can increase ecosystem resilience and conservation value, and can outcompete native species and alter communities, so they do not match the clue. Question 38. Compared with the other choices, which option identifies the comparison group not receiving the tested treatment in ecosystems? Option A, data table. Option B, control group. Option C, correlation. Option D, scientific method. The correct answer is option B, control group. This choice is best because it helps show whether the treatment caused the effect. The other choices point to helps compare variables and identify patterns, does not by itself prove that one variable causes the other, and uses observations, hypotheses, experiments, and conclusions, so they do not match the clue. Question 39. A ecosystems passage asks about a factor kept constant during an experiment. Which response is accurate? Option A, control group. Option B, dependent variable. Option C, data table. Option D, controlled variable. The correct answer is option D, controlled variable. This choice is best because it reduces alternative explanations for the results. The other choices point to help show whether the treatment caused the effect, is observed to see whether it changes, and helps compare variables and identify patterns, so they do not match the clue. Question 40. One question gives the clue random separation of homologous chromosome pairs. Which answer completes a ecosystems item? Option A, DNA replication. Option B, independent assortment. Option C, incomplete dominance. Option D, law of segregation. The correct answer is option B, independent assortment. This choice is best because it creates different chromosome combinations in gametes. The other choices point to duplicates genetic material so daughter cells can receive it, produces a blended-looking trait in the heterozygote, and explains why each gamete receives only one allele for a gene, so they do not match the clue. Question 41. Can you spot the biology term for a cell without a nucleus or membrane-bound organelles in ecosystems? Option A, prokaryotic cell. Option B, lysosome. Option C, stem cell. Option D, phospholipid bilayer. The correct answer is option A, prokaryotic cell. This choice is best because it has DNA but lacks a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. The other choices point to contains enzymes that break down cellular materials, can develop into specialized cell types, and forms the flexible barrier that separates cell interiors from surroundings, so they do not match the clue. Question 42. In a practice set on ecosystems, which option best matches the clue organisms producing many offspring with little parental care? Option A, logistic growth. Option B, consumer. Option C, primary succession. Option D, are selected species. The correct answer is option D, are selected species. This choice is best because it often thrive in unstable environments. The other choices point to produces an S-shaped curve when resources become limiting, depends on producers or other consumers for energy, and begins where soil is absent, such as bare rock, so they do not match the clue. Question 43. In a lab-style item about ecosystems, which choice best explains most ADP production during aerobic respiration? Option A, microscope magnification. Option B, electron transport chain. Option C, mitochondrion. Option D, ADP synthase. The correct answer is option C, mitochondrion. This choice is best because it carries out reactions that generate much of the cell's ATP. The other choices point to gives total magnification for viewing a specimen, creates a proton gradient that powers ADP synthase, and uses chemiosmosis to phosphorylate ADP, so they do not match the clue. Question 44. After observing the basic two-layer structure of cell membranes, which concept is most likely in ecosystems? Option A, microscope magnification. Option B, bacterium. Option C, cell wall. Option D, phospholipid bilayer. The correct answer is option D, phospholipid bilayer. This choice is best because it forms the flexible barrier that separates cell interiors from surroundings. The other choices point to gives total magnification for viewing a specimen, has cellular structure but lacks a nucleus, and provides structural support and protection in plants, fungi, and many bacteria, so they do not match the clue. Question 45. Before answering an item about storing and transmitting hereditary information, which concept should be recognized in ecosystems? Option A, restriction enzyme. Option B, anticodon. Option C, nucleic acid. Option D, DNA replication. The correct answer is option C, nucleic acid. This choice is best because it includes DNA and RNA, which carry genetic information. The other choices point to acts like molecular scissors in DNA technology, helps place the correct amino acid during translation, and duplicates genetic material so daughter cells can receive it, so they do not match the clue. Question 46. The phrase water moving across a selectively permeable membrane most clearly refers to which biology concept in ecosystems? Option A, osmosis. Option B, lipid. Option C, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Option D, diffusion. The correct answer is option A, osmosis. This choice is best because it is the diffusion of water across a membrane. The other choices point to includes fats, oils, steroids, and membrane phospholipids, is studded with ribosomes and helps process newly made proteins, and is passive movement down a concentration gradient, so they do not match the clue. Question 47. Where does the clue eyepiece magnification multiplied by objective magnification lead in ecosystems? Option A, eukaryotic cell. Option B, controlled variable. Option C, hypotonic solution. Option D, microscope magnification. The correct answer is option D, microscope magnification. This choice is best because it gives total magnification for viewing a specimen. The other choices point to contains a nucleus and complex internal compartments, reduces alternative explanations for the results, and has a lower solute concentration than the cell, causing water entry, so they do not match the clue. Question 48. Why would processing proteins headed for secretion or membranes be tested in an ecosystems question? Option A, apoptosis. Option B, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Option C, diffusion. Option D, stroma. The correct answer is option B, rough endoplasmic reticulum. This choice is best because it is studded with ribosomes and helps process newly made proteins. The other choices point to removes damaged or unneeded cells in an orderly way, is passive movement down a concentration gradient, and contains enzymes used for carbon fixation, so they do not match the clue. Question 49. During review of ecosystems, which term names variety of genes, species, and ecosystems? Option A, exponential growth. Option B, biodiversity. Option C, predation. Option D, carbon cycle. The correct answer is option B, biodiversity. This choice is best because it can increase ecosystem resilience and conservation value. The other choices point to produces a J-shaped curve under ideal conditions, links predator and prey population dynamics, and connects photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, and combustion, so they do not match the clue. Question 50. Based on the description cell division that produces haploid gametes, which choice makes sense for ecosystems? Option A, independent assortment. Option B, gel electrophoresis. Option C, meiosis. Option D, phenotype. The correct answer is option C, meiosis. This choice is best because it has chromosome number for sexual reproduction. The other choices point to creates different chromosome combinations in gametes, uses an electric field to move DNA through a gel, and describes what can be seen or measured, so they do not match the clue. Question 51. Students reviewing ecosystems see one organism killing and eating another. Which answer is best? Option A, exponential growth. Option B, ectotherm. Option C, predation. Option D, density-independent factor. The correct answer is option C, predation. This choice is best because it links predator and prey population dynamics. The other choices point to produces a J-shaped curve under ideal conditions, gets most body heat from the environment, and includes storms, fires, and many abiotic disturbances, so they do not match the clue. Question 52. Suppose a CLEP-style biology item describes selective control of what enters and leaves the cell. Which choice fits ecosystems? Option A, hypertonic solution. Option B, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Option C, osmosis. Option D, plasma membrane. The correct answer is option D, plasma membrane. This choice is best because it acts as a selectively permeable boundary. The other choices point to has a higher solute concentration than the cell, causing water loss, synthesizes lipids and helps detoxify chemicals, and is the diffusion of water across a membrane, so they do not match the clue. Question 53. Could a test writer use bacterial cell division into two similar cells to ask about which concept in ecosystems? Option A, binary fission. Option B, facilitated diffusion. Option C, exocytosis. Option D, lysosome. The correct answer is option A, binary fission. This choice is best because it is the common asexual reproduction method in bacteria. The other choices point to move substances down a gradient using channels or carriers, moves vesicles to the membrane so their contents leave the cell, and contains enzymes that break down cellular materials, so they do not match the clue. Question 54. Is the best match for a testable explanation found in which choice for ecosystems? Option A, microscope magnification. Option B, hypothesis. Option C, sample size. Option D, bar graph. The correct answer is option B, hypothesis. This choice is best because it makes a prediction that can be supported or rejected by evidence. The other choices point to gives total magnification for viewing a specimen, affects reliability and confidence in results, and shows differences among discrete groups, so they do not match the clue. Question 55. A short passage on ecosystems describes a limiting factor not tied to population density. Which answer fits? Option A, density-independent factor. Option B, biodiversity. Option C, biome. Option D, secondary succession. The correct answer is option A, density-independent factor. This choice is best because it includes storms, fires, and many abiotic disturbances. The other choices point to can increase ecosystem resilience and conservation value, groups ecosystems with similar climate and life forms, and happens after events like fires or abandoned farming, so they do not match the clue. Question 56. If a passage mentions one species benefiting while harming a host, which answer should be selected in ecosystems? Option A, energy pyramid. Option B, parasitism. Option C, commensalism. Option D, primary succession. The correct answer is option B, parasitism. This choice is best because it is a symbiosis that benefits the parasite. The other choices point to shows energy loss as heat between feeding levels, is a symbiosis with no clear effect on one partner, and begins where soil is absent, such as bare rock, so they do not match the clue. Question 57. Researchers studying ecology notice community development on newly exposed surfaces without soil. Which term explains it in ecosystems? Option A, primary succession. Option B, parasitism. Option C, ecosystem. Option D, mutualism. The correct answer is option A, primary succession. This choice is best because it begins where soil is absent, such as bare rock. The other choices point to is a symbiosis that benefits the parasite, includes living organisms and abiotic factors, and is a symbiosis that helps both partners, so they do not match the clue. Question 58. An experiment points to the observable expression of a trait. Which answer is most relevant in ecosystems? Option A, frameshift mutation. Option B, meiosis. Option C, phenotype. Option D, sex-linked inheritance. The correct answer is option C, phenotype. This choice is best because it describes what can be seen or measured. The other choices point to can change many downstream amino acids, halves chromosome number for sexual reproduction, and often shows distinctive patterns because males have one X chromosome, so they do not match the clue. Question 59. Under a review heading for ecosystems, which term fits stable allele frequencies when evolution is not occurring? Option A, crossing over. Option B, carrying capacity. Option C, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Option D, binomial nomenclature. The correct answer is option C, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. This choice is best because it models a non-evolving population under specific conditions. The other choices point to increases genetic variation during meiosis, limits population growth when resources are finite, and uses genus and species names to identify organisms, so they do not match the clue. Question 60. Would interconnected feeding relationships most strongly support which answer in ecosystems? Option A, keystone species. Option B, food web. Option C, energy pyramid. Option D, predation. The correct answer is option B, food web. This choice is best because it shows multiple pathways of energy flow. The other choices point to can strongly shape community structure, shows energy loss as heat between feeding levels, and links predator and prey population dynamics, so they do not match the clue. Question 61. For a question on ecosystems, how should a student identify movement of carbon through organisms, air, water, and rocks? Option A, ecological footprint. Option B, mutualism. Option C, energy pyramid. Option D, carbon cycle. The correct answer is option D, carbon cycle. This choice is best because it connects photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, and combustion. The other choices point to estimates environmental impact from consumption, is a symbiosis that helps both partners, and shows energy loss as heat between feeding levels, so they do not match the clue. Question 62. For a clue about assembling amino acids into proteins, which term is most precise in ecosystems? Option A, plasma membrane. Option B, lysosome. Option C, mitochondrion. Option D, ribosome. The correct answer is option D, ribosome. This choice is best because it is the site where translation builds polypeptides. The other choices point to acts as a selectively permeable boundary, contains enzymes that break down cellular materials, and carries out reactions that generate much of the cell's ATP, so they do not match the clue. Question 63. Compared with the other choices, which option identifies storing DNA and controlling gene expression in ecosystems? Option A, bacterium. Option B, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Option C, PCR. Option D, nucleus. The correct answer is option D, nucleus. This choice is best because it houses chromosomes and helps regulate cellular activity. The other choices point to has cellular structure but lacks a nucleus, is studded with ribosomes and helps process newly made proteins, and makes many copies of a DNA region for analysis, so they do not match the clue. Question 64. A ecosystems passage asks about building a protein from an mRNA message. Which response is accurate? Option A, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Option B, codominance. Option C, translation. Option D, restriction enzyme. The correct answer is option C, translation. This choice is best because it uses ribosomes and tRNA to assemble amino acids. The other choices point to models a non-evolving population under specific conditions, allows both traits to appear in the heterozygote, and acts like molecular scissors in DNA technology, so they do not match the clue. Question 65. One question gives the clue making lipids and detoxifying substances. Which answer completes a ecosystems item? Option A, ribosome. Option B, mitochondrion. Option C, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Option D, stroma. The correct answer is option C, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This choice is best because it synthesizes lipids and helps detoxify chemicals. The other choices point to is the site where translation builds polypeptides, carries out reactions that generate much of the cell's ATP, and contains enzymes used for carbon fixation, so they do not match the clue. Question 66. Can you spot the biology term for an organism that makes organic food from inorganic sources in ecosystems? Option A, carrying capacity. Option B, producer. Option C, parasitism. Option D, commensalism. The correct answer is option B, producer. This choice is best because it forms the energy base of many ecosystems. The other choices point to limits population growth when resources are finite, is a symbiosis that benefits the parasite, and is a symbiosis with no clear effect on one partner, so they do not match the clue. Question 67. In a practice set on ecosystems, which option best matches the clue releasing materials from a cell by vesicle fusion? Option A, prokaryotic cell. Option B, microscope magnification. Option C, exocytosis. Option D, bacterium. The correct answer is option C, exocytosis. This choice is best because it moves vesicles to the membrane so their contents leave the cell. The other choices point to has DNA but lacks a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, gives total magnification for viewing a specimen, and has cellular structure but lacks a nucleus, so they do not match the clue. Question 68. In a lab-style item about ecosystems, which choice best explains a family diagram used to track inheritance? Option A, gene expression. Option B, codominance. Option C, recombinant DNA. Option D, pedigree. The correct answer is option D, pedigree. This choice is best because it shows how traits pass through generations. The other choices point to connects DNA instructions to RNA or protein output, allows both traits to appear in the heterozygote, and allows genes from one organism to be inserted into another, so they do not match the clue. Question 69. After observing decreasing available energy at higher trophic levels, which concept is most likely in ecosystems? Option A, glycolysis. Option B, energy pyramid. Option C, trophic level. Option D, predation. The correct answer is option B, energy pyramid. This choice is best because it shows energy loss as heat between feeding levels. The other choices point to begin cellular respiration and produces a small amount of ADP, places organisms by how they obtain energy, and links predator and prey population dynamics, so they do not match the clue. Question 70. Before answering an item about DNA made by combining genetic material from different sources, which concept should be recognized in ecosystems? Option A, recombinant DNA. Option B, gene expression. Option C, epigenetics. Option D, transcription. The correct answer is option A, recombinant DNA. This choice is best because it allows genes from one organism to be inserted into another. The other choices point to connects DNA instructions to RNA or protein output, can affect whether genes are turned on or off, and copies genetic information into RNA, so they do not match the clue. Question 71. The phrase community recovery after disturbance where soil remains most clearly refers to which biology concept in ecosystems? Option A, trophic level. Option B, secondary succession. Option C, predation. Option D, density-independent factor. The correct answer is option B, secondary succession. This choice is best because it happens after events like fires or abandoned farming. The other choices point to places organisms by how they obtain energy, links predator and prey population dynamics, and include storms, fires, and many abiotic disturbances, so they do not match the clue. Question 72. Where does the clue attest that separates bacteria by cell wall properties lead in ecosystems? Option A, cell cycle checkpoint. Option B, endocytosis. Option C, lysosome. Option D, Gram stain. The correct answer is option D, Gram stain. This choice is best because it helps distinguish major bacterial groups. The other choices point to helps maintain genome stability before cell division continues, uses membrane pockets to take material into the cell, and contains enzymes that break down cellular materials, so they do not match the clue. Question 73. Why would capturing light energy to make sugars be tested in an ecosystems question? Option A, plasma membrane. Option B, microscope magnification. Option C, auxin. Option D, chloroplast. The correct answer is option D, chloroplast. This choice is best because it contains chlorophyll and performs photosynthesis in plants and algae. The other choices point to acts as a selectively permeable boundary, gives total magnification for viewing a specimen, and promotes cell elongation and phototroism, so they do not match the clue. Question 74. During review of ecosystems, which term names a large ecological region defined by climate and dominant organisms? Option A, ecosystem. Option B, biome. Option C, mutualism. Option D, primary succession. The correct answer is option B, biome. This choice is best because it groups ecosystems with similar climate and life forms. The other choices point to includes living organisms and abiotic factors, is a symbiosis that helps both partners and begins where soil is absent, such as bare rock, so they do not match the clue. Question 75. Based on the description of feeding position in a food chain, which choice makes sense for ecosystems? Option A, producer. Option B, imprinting. Option C, secondary succession. Option D, trophic level. The correct answer is option D, trophic level. This choice is best because it places organisms by how they obtain energy. The other choices point to forms the energy base of many ecosystems, can shape animal behavior early in life, and happens after events like fires or abandoned farming, so they do not match the clue. Question 76. Students reviewing ecosystems see the resource demand humans place on ecosystems. Which answer is best? Option A, ecological footprint. Option B, secondary succession. Option C, decomposer. Option D, carbon cycle. The correct answer is option A, ecological footprint. This choice is best because it estimates environmental impact from consumption. The other choices point to happens after events like fires or abandoned farming, recycles nutrients back into ecosystems, and connects photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, and combustion, so they do not match the clue. Question 77. Suppose a CLEP-style biology item describes bringing large materials into a cell in vesicles. Which choice fits ecosystems? Option A, endocytosis. Option B, phospholipid bilayer. Option C, binary fission. Option D, apoptosis. The correct answer is option A, endocytosis. This choice is best because it uses membrane pockets to take material into the cell. The other choices point to forms the flexible barrier that separates cell interiors from surroundings, is the common asexual reproduction method in bacteria, and removes damaged or unneeded cells in an orderly way, so they do not match the clue. Question 78. Could a test writer use a species with a large effect relative to its abundance to ask about which concept in ecosystems? Option A, biodiversity. Option B, keystone species. Option C, commensalism. Option D, density-dependent factor. The correct answer is option B, keystone species. This choice is best because it can strongly shape community structure. The other choices point to can increase ecosystem resilience and conservation value, is a symbiosis with no clear effect on one partner, and includes competition, disease, and predation, so they do not match the clue. Question 79. Is the best match for the tRNA sequence that pairs with an mRNA codon found in which choice for ecosystems? Option A, denaturation. Option B, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Option C, anticodon. Option D, rough endoplasmic reticulum. The correct answer is option C, anticodon. This choice is best because it helps place the correct amino acid during translation. The other choices point to disrupts the structure needed for protein function, models a non-evolving population under specific conditions, and is studied with ribosomes and helps process newly made proteins, so they do not match the clue. Question 80. A short passage on ecosystems describes a graph often used to show change over time. Which answer fits? Option A, correlation. Option B, bar graph. Option C, independent variable. Option D, line graph. The correct answer is option D, line graph. This choice is best because it displays trends in a continuous variable. The other choices point to does not by itself prove that one variable causes the other, shows differences among discrete groups, and is manipulated to test its effect, so they do not match the clue. Question 81. If a passage mentions population increase without limiting factors, which answer should be selected in ecosystems? Option A, keystone species. Option B, exponential growth. Option C, consumer. Option D, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. The correct answer is option B, exponential growth. This choice is best because it produces a J-shaped curve under ideal conditions. The other choices point to can strongly shape community structure, depends on producers or other consumers for energy, and models a non-evolving population under specific conditions, so they do not match the clue. Question 82. Researchers studying cell notice a prokaryotic single-celled organism. Which term explains it in ecosystems? Option A, cancer. Option B, bacterium. Option C, osmosis. Option D, hypertonic solution. The correct answer is option B, bacterium. This choice is best because it has cellular structure but lacks a nucleus. The other choices point to results from failures in normal cell cycle regulation, is the diffusion of water across a membrane, and has a higher solute concentration than the cell, causing water loss, so they do not match the clue. Question 83. An experiment points to members of the same species in one area. Which answer is most relevant in ecosystems? Option A, natural selection. Option B, invasive species. Option C, reproductive isolation. Option D, population. The correct answer is option D, population. This choice is best because it is the basic unit often studied in population biology. The other choices point to changes trait frequencies when traits affect survival or reproduction, can outcompete native species and alter communities, and helps populations diverge into separate species, so they do not match the clue. Question 84. Under a review heading for ecosystems, which term fits digesting worn-out organelles and macromolecules? Option A, lysosome. Option B, osmosis. Option C, mitochondrion. Option D, stroma. The correct answer is option A, lysosome. This choice is best because it contains enzymes that break down cellular materials. The other choices point to is the diffusion of water across a membrane, carries out reactions that generate much of the cell's ATP, and contains enzymes used for carbon fixation, so they do not match the clue. Question 85. Would moving substances against a concentration gradient most strongly support which answer in ecosystems? Option A, prokaryotic cell. Option B, active transport. Option C, fermentation. Option D, Calvin cycle. The correct answer is option B, active transport. This choice is best because it requires energy to move materials from low to high concentration. The other choices point to has DNA but lacks a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, allows glycolysis to continue without oxygen, and fixes carbon into carbohydrates using ADP and NAD, so they do not match the clue. Question 86. For a question on ecosystems, how should a student identify a cell with a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles? Option A, chloroplast. Option B, nucleus. Option C, cell wall. Option D, eukaryotic cell. The correct answer is option D, eukaryotic cell. This choice is best because it contains a nucleus and complex internal compartments. The other choices point to contains chlorophyll and performs photosynthesis in plants and algae, houses chromosomes and helps regulate cellular activity, and provides structural support and protection in plants, fungi, and many bacteria, so they do not match the clue. Question 87. For a clue about passive transport through membrane proteins, which term is most precise in ecosystems? Option A, facilitated diffusion. Option B, diffusion in lungs. Option C, active transport. Option D, diffusion. The correct answer is option A, facilitated diffusion. This choice is best because it moves substances down a gradient using channels or carriers. The other choices point to moves gases down their concentration gradients, requires energy to move materials from low to high concentration, and is passive movement down a concentration gradient, so they do not match the clue. Question 88. Compared with the other choices, which option identifies amplifying a selected DNA segment in ecosystems? Option A, PCR. Option B, codon. Option C, nucleus. Option D, point mutation. The correct answer is option A, PCR. This choice is best because it makes many copies of a DNA region for analysis. The other choices point to links the genetic code to protein sequence, houses chromosomes and helps regulate cellular activity, and alters a single DNA base and may affect a gene product, so they do not match the clue. Question 89. A ecosystem's passage asks about molecules moving from high concentration to low concentration. Which response is accurate? Option A, lysosome. Option B, hypotonic solution. Option C, diffusion. Option D, cytoskeleton. The correct answer is option C, diffusion. This choice is best because it is passive movement down a concentration gradient. The other choices point to contains enzymes that break down cellular materials, has a lower solute concentration than the cell, causing water entry, and uses protein fibers for support, movement, and organization, so they do not match the clue. Question 90. One question gives the clue both alleles being fully expressed. Which answer completes a ecosystem's item? Option A, restriction enzyme. Option B, incomplete dominance. Option C, codominance. Option D, gene expression. The correct answer is option C, codominance. This choice is best because it allows both traits to appear in the heterozygote. The other choices point to acts like molecular scissors in DNA technology, produces a blended-looking trait in the heterozygote, and connects DNA instructions to RNA or protein output, so they do not match the clue. Question 91. Can you spot the biology term for nuclear division that produces genetically identical body cells in ecosystems? Option A, cell differentiation. Option B, phospholipid bilayer. Option C, mitosis. Option D, cancer. The correct answer is option C, mitosis. This choice is best because it maintains chromosome number in somatic cells. The other choices point to allows multicellular organisms to form different tissues, forms the flexible barrier that separates cell interiors from surroundings, and results from failures in normal cell cycle regulation, so they do not match the clue. Question 92. In a practice set on ecosystems, which option best matches the clue? An organism relying mainly on external heat. Option A, density-independent factor. Option B, zygote. Option C, adaptive immunity. Option D, ectotherm. The correct answer is option D, ectotherm. This choice is best because it gets most body heat from the environment. The other choices point to include storms, fires, and many abiotic disturbances, contains genetic contributions from both parents, and uses lymphocytes to target particular antigens, so they do not match the clue. Question 93. In a lab-style item about ecosystems, which choice best explains a community plus its physical environment? Option A, ectotherm. Option B, ecosystem. Option C, parasitism. Option D, producer. The correct answer is option B, ecosystem. This choice is best because it includes living organisms and abiotic factors. The other choices point to gets most body heat from the environment, is a symbiosis that benefits the parasite, and forms the energy base of many ecosystems, so they do not match the clue. Question 94. After observing genes on different chromosomes associating separately, which concept is most likely in ecosystems? Option A, frameshift mutation. Option B, law of independent assortment. Option C, sex-linked inheritance. Option D, genotype. The correct answer is option B, law of independent assortment. This choice is best because it explains independent inheritance of many traits. The other choices point to can change many downstream amino acids, often shows distinctive patterns because males have one X chromosome, and describes genetic makeup for a trait, so they do not match the clue. Question 95. Before answering an item about the number of observations or organisms measured, which concept should be recognized in ecosystems? Option A, bar graph. Option B, sample size. Option C, dependent variable. Option D, controlled variable. The correct answer is option B, sample size. This choice is best because it affects reliability and confidence in results. The other choices point to shows differences among discrete groups, is observed to see whether it changes, and reduces alternative explanations for the results, so they do not match the clue. Question 96. The phrase growth that slows near carrying capacity most clearly refers to which biology concept in ecosystems? Option A, logistic growth. Option B, parasitism. Option C, food web. Option D, biome. The correct answer is option A, logistic growth. This choice is best because it produces an S-shaped curve when resources become limiting. The other choices point to is a symbiosis that benefits the parasite, shows multiple pathways of energy flow, and groups ecosystems with similar climate and life forms, so they do not match the clue. Question 97. Where does the clue rapid learning during a critical period lead in ecosystems? Option A, imprinting. Option B, conservation biology. Option C, circadian rhythm. Option D, invasive species. The correct answer is option A, imprinting. This choice is best because it can shape animal behavior early in life. The other choices point to uses biology to preserve species and habitats, regulates behaviors and physiology over about 24 hours, and can outcompete native species and alter communities, so they do not match the clue. Question 98. Why would an unspecialized cell that can differentiate be tested in an ecosystems question? Option A, zygote. Option B, phospholipid bilayer. Option C, stem cell. Option D, plasma membrane. The correct answer is option C, stem cell. This choice is best because it can develop into specialized cell types. The other choices point to contains genetic contributions from both parents, forms the flexible barrier that separates cell interiors from surroundings, and acts as a selectively permeable boundary, so they do not match the clue. Question 99. During review of ecosystems, which term names cutting DNA at specific sequences? Option A, operon. Option B, transcription. Option C, restriction enzyme. Option D, crossing over. The correct answer is option C, restriction enzyme. This choice is best because it acts like molecular scissors in DNA technology. The other choices point to lets prokaryotes regulate groups of genes together, copies genetic information into RNA, and increases genetic variation during meiosis, so they do not match the clue. Question 100. Based on the description a change in one nucleotide base, which choice makes sense for ecosystems? Option A, law of segregation. Option B, point mutation. Option C, binomial nomenclature. Option D, adaptation. The correct answer is option B, point mutation. This choice is best because it alters a single DNA base and may affect a gene product. The other choices point to explains why each gamete receives only one allele for a gene, uses genus and species names to identify organisms, and can become common when it increases reproductive success, so they do not match the clue.